डॉक्टर बाबासाहेब आंबेडकर ओपन युनिव्हर्सिटी.
Namaskar dear students, I am Dr. Himanshu Patel and working as an assistant professor in School of Computer Science of Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar, Open University. I am your instructor for this module. In today's session, we will learn about C programming language, how C programming language was created, how to write your first program in C language, what are the features of C language, how to perform input-output operations in C programming language, and we will also learn how to take formatted input as well as formatted output in case of C program. And finally, we will check how much you have learned from this session. So let us start with learning objectives. After studying this module, learner should be able to know history and important features of C language. Learner can understand program structure of C language, that is the skeleton of C program, what are the different sections available in C program, and what are the general points or rules that they have to follow while writing C program. And after writing Hello World application, we will learn how to compile and execute that program. So learner should be able to execute their first program. We will also learn how to print white spaces. White spaces means non-printing characters that we are going to discuss in this lecture. So we will learn how to print white spaces in the program, and we will also learn how to get formatted input and how to generate formatted output using formatted input output functions available in C. So these are the learning objectives. Now let us start with history of C programming language. We know that C programming language is a popular programming language. Why C is so much popular? Because of its certain features. It was developed and designed by Dennis Ritchie in 1972 at Bell Laboratories, USA. It is a general purpose programming language. General purpose means you can write all type of program in C language. Some language provides facility to write specific type of programs, but C provide facility to write all kind of program, whether it is an application program or whether it is a system software which closely interact with hardware. So it is considered as a general purpose programming language and can be used for all kind of programs. Now several important features of C was taken from B and BCPL programming language. Now B language was developed by Ken Thompson in 1970 and BCPL, that is Basic Combined Programming Language, was developed by Martin Richard in 1967, and C inherit some important features of both the programming language. So this is a brief history of C programming language, how it was created and when. Now let us try to understand important features of C language that makes it versatile and popular. First of all, as we discussed earlier, it is general purpose programming language. That means you can write all kind of programs in C language. Second, programs are easy to write, debug, test and maintain. Third is C programs are simple. It has a minimal syntax, but the construct provided by C language are so important that it makes C program efficient and faster for execution. Then C language provides portability and extensibility. Now what is portability? If you write program for one computer and if it runs on another computer without any changes, then program is said to be portable. So C programs are considered as a portable. That means it runs across different computers without any modification. Now what is extensibility? Now suppose someone has written C code, you can add new features easily into that existing program. So that is called extensibility. So C programs are portable and extensible. C provides ready to use functions. So you need not to write down logic from scratch. You can use whatever functions are available in libraries by just including that library in your program, and whatever functions available in that library will be available to you. So C provides functions rich library. Then C use the concept of pointer for dynamic memory management. That means you can write program that make use of dynamic memory management. And finally, C program are procedure oriented and structural programming language. Now what is procedural oriented? We can divide large program into small part known as a procedure or functions. So C divides larger program into small procedures or functions. And what is structural programming language? Now C provides various kind of data type, but you can also create your custom data type using features called structure. So C is also called structural programming language. Now all these features of C language made it popular. Now before we understand the skeleton or structure of C program, we will learn about comments. Now what is comment? Technically, comment is those part of program which is never going to execute. So comments are the statement that can be written anywhere in the program. You can write down comment anywhere in the program. Now comment statements are simply skipped by the compiler and it will not be translated into machine language. That means they are never going to execute. And comments are the statements which written in the program to increase the readability of the program. Now it is not actual program, but it is just description of program. What are the inputs, what are the outputs, what are the use of particular statement in program, so that other programmer can easily understand how this program works. So basically it is additional information regarding your program. Now there are two types of comments. One is called single line comment, which is denoted by double slash. So wherever you write down double slash and something, it is considered as a single line comment by C compiler. Then there is a multi-line comment which is denoted by slash asterisk, and then whatever comment you want to write down, you can write down, and it should be completed by asterisk and slash. So anything written between slash asterisk and asterisk slash are considered as a multi-line comment. Now you can see on the screen example of both type of comment, that is single line comment and multi-line comment in red color at the bottom. So now I hope you understand what is comment, how to write comment, and what is the purpose of comment in C program. Now let us try to understand structure of C program. That means any program consists of these much sections. The first section is called documentation section. So here we just write down description of our program in comments. So that is why it is known as a documentation section. And how can we write down documentation section? Using comments that we have just discussed. Then second is called link section. Earlier we discussed that C provides rich set of function libraries. So to use that library, you have to include that file in your program. So it means you are linking other files in your program in order to use whatever functions or code defined in that file. So that is called link section. Now third section is definition section. Now remember that documentation section is not compulsory, it is optional. If you want to write down something about program, you can write, but it is not compulsory. But generally we specify link section, so it is compulsory in the sense. Then definition section is also optional, but you can define constant like pi or Euler constant E or any other constant using definition section. The fourth section again is optional and it is known as a global declaration section. So whatever you define in global declaration section is available to all the functions in program. So that is why it is known as a global declaration section. In global declaration section, you can define variables, you can define functions that can be used anywhere in the program. The fifth part is main function section. Now remember that every C program must have main function. As its name suggests, main function is function from where program execution starts. So it is compulsory to write main function in your program, and inside main function you write down actual code. So again, main function has a two part. One is called declaration part, where you declare variables in which you can store values. You can declare array also, that we are going to learn later on. But anything can be declared inside main function, and then you write down executable statement. So that is known as the executable part. So once your program is complete, main function is closing brace indicates end of program, opening brace indicates start of program, and in between there are two sections that we have just discussed. Now C is a procedure oriented programming, right? So you can define n number of procedures or functions in your program. So other than main functions are generally defined at the bottom of main program. So that is known as a subprogram section, where you declare n number of functions as per your requirement. So this is a just skeleton or structure of C program. We have seen that some of the sections are not compulsory, they are optionals. So you can have link section, main function. These are the two important and mandatory part in C program. But rest of the sections are optional. Now, let us try to understand this structure using some example. So, here the first line we write down name of program, for example. So, that is considered as a document section. Then inside link section we generally write down include statement. Now, what is include statement? Include statement are used to include other file in our program. So, here generally we use these two files stdio.h. Now, what these stdio.h represents? So, the full form of stdio is standard input output. That means suppose you want to read data from user and perform some calculation and display result on the screen, then you have to use functions defined inside these stdio.h file. So, that's why we need to include these file in our program. The second file we generally include is conio.h, that is conio.h. So, it represents console input output. That means you can read data or write data using console input output. The next statement defines one constant in capital letters MIN and its value is 99. So, wherever you use mean, it represents value 99. So, this is a example of define section where we can generally define constants. Then you can declare other functions in function declaration statement, and you can also declare some global variable like integer a is equal to 100 shown on the screen. And then there is a main section, and opening brace represent start of program and closing brace represent end of program. Inside main there are again two parts, one is called declaration part and another is called execution part. So, we can divide program, generally we declare variable first before use. So, all the declaration goes before writing any executable statements, and below main we can define other functions that you can see on the screen. So, this is the C program structure, and you have to at least write this link section or include part and main function in order to write any program. Rest of the sections are not compulsory. Now, let us try to understand programming rules or points that you have to remember while writing program. First of all, C program can have multiple functions, but each program must have main function. We already discussed that main is compulsory. System always starts the execution of program by main function. Each statement of C program ends with semicolon. However, conditional statement, for and while loop, and in function definition, statements do not end with semicolon. So, that you have to remember. That is the mistakes generally happens, because if you write down just semicolon, then C considered it as a null statement. So, when you write down unnecessary semicolon, it changes the meaning of function declaration or for loop, while loop or conditional statement, right? So, you have to be careful while using semicolon. Generally, in C program, all the statements should be written in the lower case. C programming language is case sensitive. That means you have to write down all the code in lower case. However, uppercase string can be used for symbolic constant. In example, we have defined minimum using MIN. So that is written in capital letters, right? So you can use uppercase, but only for symbolic constant. The opening and closing brass should be balanced. That means if you have 5 opening brass, there should be 5 appropriate closing brass. So the number of closing and opening brass should be same, otherwise it will either result in syntax error or logical error. Now it is not necessary that each line has a single statement in C program. You can write more than one C statement in same line. That means you can write down multiple statements in a single line. That you have to remember. Generally we write down one statement in one line, but we can have multiple statement in single line, right? Now once you write your program, you need to execute that program. So we now know that execution of C program always start with opening brass of main function. So if you write down some include statement in your program, so there stdio.h and conio.h are known as a header file. That is why they have extension .h. H stands for header. Since they are written in the top of program, they are considered as a header files. So if you are using any header files, that header files need to include in your program. So first that header file is included in your program, then you have to compile your program. Now C programs use compiler. Now what is compiler? We have already discussed in last lecture. Compiler converts these high level language code written in C language into machine code, that is binary code, right? So compiler will generate object file. Now what is object file? As you see on the screen, if your program contains no error, then your C program with extension C, for example, as see on the screen, if it is first.c, it is converted into first.obj, that is object file. It is a binary file, right? It is binary file generated before linking with other files. So when you run your program, C compiler will link other library files as a part of your program, so that program can be run anywhere without needing that file. So that file is also included in your object code. So then you get your executable file, that is binary code, but with extension .exe. So when you compile your program, it generates object file, and when you run, that object file is linked with whatever file you have used in your program, and that file is converted into executable file, so that you need not to bring anything other than this exe file, right? So only exe file then is required to run your program. So this is the process of execution, linking and running your program. Now how to write your first C program? So for that you have to use Turbo C++ IDE. You can download and Turbo C++ IDE, which is freely available, and then you have to open C language editor and you have to type your program. Once your program is complete, you have to compile that program. Now this is a hello world program. So you see that first statement is include stdio.h, so that it means we want to use standard input output header file in our program. The next line is main function, curly bracket is compulsory, closing curly bracket is also compulsory. Before that, these two braces, we have to write down our code. So you can see comment in very first line that this is my first C program, and the second statement is printf function. Now this printf function is not written by us, it is written by this stdio.h file. So you have to just use that functions printf. Now whenever we want to display some message, right, we can use printf function. Printf function is not only used to display message, but you can also print the value of your variables, constant, etc. So here we write down printf, and in double quotes we write down hello world. So when you compile this program, since there is no error, it shows there are no errors, and when you run this program, you will see hello world as shown on screen in output window. So the first thing you need to install Turbo C++ IDE, which is freely available, and then you have to write down this code. Now remember, C programming language is case sensitive, so you must write down all these into small case except comment. Whatever you write down inside comment is not part of program, so you can write down in any case, but rest of the thing you have to write in lower case only. So this is hello world program. I hope you are able to write down these program once you download this Turbo C++ IDE, and you can compile that program from compile menu and run this program from run menu. Now when you display some message, you must use some white space characters. Generally white space characters are considered as a non-printing characters, right? So white spaces such as space, tab, backspace, new line, etc. are need to be print the output in the desired format. Sometimes you have to separate data with tab, right? So for that you can use these escape sequences or white space characters. So /n represents new line. It means whenever I write down printf, /n inside printf, from /n onwards, rest of the thing are going to print on next line. Similarly, /t is considered as a horizontal tab. So it separates the word with 4 or 8 spaces, right? Similarly, /b represent backspace, /r represent carriage written or enter, when you write down printf and inside double quotes if you write down /a, it results in audible bell or beep sound, right? So you can use all these escape sequence character inside your printf, and its meaning is shown on the screen. You can try all these escape sequence characters in printf, and for printf we need to include our stdio.h file. Now let us understand these with example. Here I write down normal printf, so it just print hello world. Here in next we write down two printf, printf hello and printf world, but it will not print in new line. Since we have not written slash n anywhere, it results in continuous output. So second printf statement will also print same output. But suppose at serial number 3 we write down printf hello and then slash n. So next printf statement will going to print in new line. So now output is hello in first line and world in second line. If we see fourth serial number, we write down printf hello, but in second printf we write down slash n at the beginning. So before printing world, it goes to next line. So we will get same output as the previous case. So similarly, slash t will separate two words with tab space. But what happens if we actually print slash n inside our output? So you have to just write down one more slash before slash n and its meaning is ignored, and now it actually prints slash n. So this is how you can use white space in printf statement. Now let us try to understand console input output operations. Now there are two ways to get values. Either you have to assign static value to variable and you can print it. For example, here I declare one variable integer x is equal to 5. So when I write down printf and value of x is %d and then comma and then variable name, the output will be value of x is 5, since we have initialized value to 5. But suppose I write down integer x is equal to 10, then the output will be value of x is 10. Now what is disadvantage of these method is, every time you have to modify program to assign and print value. But the second way is to get value from user and then print it on screen. So these will result in dynamic values, right? So second way is to accept value from user and print it to console. Now we modify this program to do so. So here instead of assigning value, we just declare one variable called x of type integer, and then we print message enter any number. So user will going to enter some number. So that number should be stored inside x. So printf is used to print some message on the screen. Similarly, scanf function is used to read data from user. Now here I write down scanf and inside double quotes we write down %d. %d is a nothing but format string which represent integer. So here it means I want to read integer, but where I need to store that integer? Ampersand and x. Ampersand is a address of operator. So these statements should be read as a scan integer value from user and store that value at the address of x. So this is the meaning of scanf function written here. And finally, whatever value entered by user will be displayed on screen. Like earlier we have used printf. Value of x is %d. %d means here I want to print integer value. But integer value of what? Next argument is x. So x, if I return y, then y. So now output will be, it asks user enter any number and suppose user enters 100, then it displays value of x is 100. So this is how we can static value to variable, we can assign static value to variable, and we can also get some input from user and use that in our program. So this is a brief code that explains console input output operations. Now how to get input from user? In C programming, as we discussed earlier, scanf is one of the commonly used function to take input from user. The scanf functions read formatted input from the standard input such as keyboard. So what is meaning of scanf? First we specify format string and second is the address of variable. It means if we write down %d, it means I want to read integer. But suppose if I write down %f, it means I want to read float value. That means number with decimal places, right? So these format string meaning is fixed, and whatever format string we write down, accordingly C will fetch data from user and store that value to the variable specified. But remember, here we have to write down ampersand, otherwise it will result in some logical error, right? So you have to write down ampersand and then the name of variable. It means we want to store value read from user at address of variable. Now these are the example. Suppose I want to ask age from user, I print enter your age and then I write down scanf %d and ampersand age. Remember, age is of type integer, so here we write down d. If it is float, we write down %f. So you will learn these functions in every program, so you need not to bother, but you will eventually understand the meaning of printf and scanf function, right? Another example, here I want to read a character. Character means any alphabet, right? So we write down enter character and then we write down scanf function, but this time since it is a character, we write down %c and we want to store that character in C. So we write down ampersand C. So this is how you can get data from user. Later on we will understand what kind of data types are supported by C language and how to get different data in your program. So before that we will understand types of input output functions, right? We have discussed two functions. One is printf, another is scanf. So if we consider standard input and output, there are two types of input output. One is called formatted function and another is called unformatted function. In formatted functions, we have input function and output function, and example of input function is scanf and output function is printf. Similarly, we have some unformatted functions which is again divided into input or output function, and on screen you can see the example of IO input functions which is get ch, get che, get character and get string. And if we consider unformatted functions, we have put ch, put character and put string functions, right? Now we have used %d and %c recently, right? So what does it mean? So C provides format string or format specifier. Now here we can see on the screen type of data, its meaning and appropriate format string that we need to use in program. Suppose your data is of type character, it represents single character, and format string will be %C. If your data type is integer, it represents round integer number. It has certain range that we are going to discuss later on, but the format string will be %D or %I. Similarly, we have other data type and its format string. So depending on data type, you have to use appropriate format string. Right now that you have to remember. Now we have used printf and scanf, right? So there is a functions for unformatted input. Now meaning of these functions and description is given on the screen, but if we quickly understand the meaning, then get ch will display used to get single character from keyboard, and in case of get char, it reads one character at one time until and unless the enter key is pressed. So generally, to read character by character until enter is pressed, we can use get character function. Similarly, get ch function reads single character from keyboard, but it doesn't display that character on console screen and immediately written without pressing enter key. It just requires character, not enter. In case of get ch, it works like get ch but with echo. E stands for echo. So it reads single character from keyboard by the user and it displays it on the console screen also. So that is the difference between get ch and get ch. Get s function reads group of character or string from the keyboard by the user, and these character get stored in character array. So this is a example of unformatted input functions with its meaning and description. Likewise, we have unformatted output functions. So it is put character and put ch functions display single character which is given by the user, and that character prints at the cursor location, right? Similarly, put s is used to display group of character or string which is already stored in a character array. So let us try to understand formatted versus unformatted functions. On screens you can see the difference between two types of function. In case of formatted input output functions, they allow us to take input or display output in the user's desired format, while unformatted IO functions do not allow to take input or display output in user desired format. Similarly, formatted function supports format specifier, while unformatted function do not support format specifier. Formatted functions are used for stronger data, storing data in a more user friendly way, but unformatted IO functions are not user friendly. In case of formatted IO function, we can use all data types, but in case of unformatted IO functions, only character and string data can be used. Examples we know: printf, scanf, sprintf and scanf are examples of formatted IO functions, and get character, get ch, get che, get s, put char, put ch and put s are examples of unformatted IO functions. So let us quickly sum up what we have learned in this module. We have learned history of C language. We have also learned C programming language rules and basic structure of C language. We have also discussed features of C programming language. Then we have focused on how to write, compile and execute C program. Finally, we have ended our discussion with formatted and unformatted input output functions and how to use them in our program with different examples. I hope student will have now idea on how to write program and use console input output functions and formatted input output functions. I hope you enjoy this session. Thank you and happy learning.
स्वाध्यायः